See, that's what It's 5:30. Everybody, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Anderson.
Present.
Badiford.
Present.
Doobie. Present. Holstein.
Present.
Yaris. Present. Ravish present. Kuchar.
Present.
7-0.
Thank everybody for coming out on a nice warm day. I think I need to put my nose on first. Getting close. About ready. Yeah. Additions, deletions, changes to the agenda. Move to approve the agenda as printed. There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? Motion support, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Community comments on the agenda item. Would you like to address the board? Anybody? Spartan Spotlight.
He is not here with us today, but our Spartan Spotlight goes to Jason Penberthy. Jason Penberthy has given a lot of time and effort to the boys and girls cross-country team over the last few years. He has put countless hours, effort, and passion to make sure that his athletes are taken care of and are excelling academically and athletically. Jason also started the youth running program that had an amazing season and event that was held here locally at Pinconning. Jason also works endlessly to help out the youth wrestling program. He has been a staple at Pinconning as a teacher, a coach, and a parent that has pushed himself to be the best that he can be for athletes, parents, students, and community members. Jason is a great team member here, and we can't thank him enough for all the hard work that he has put in over the years and that he will continue to put in. Thank you, Jason Penberthy, our Spartan Spotlight.
Consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda and pay the bills totaling $978,059.30.
Support.
Motion support. Any discussion on these items? Roll call vote, please.
Badiford.
Yes.
Anderson.
Yes.
Doobie.
Yes.
Holstein.
Yes.
Yaris.
Yes.
Ravish, yes. Kuchar.
Yes.
7-0.
Thank you. Motion carries. Communication, Mr. Colchin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to start off with some good news about our athletic booster club. I'm happy to announce that they obtained their nonprofit status a short time ago, and this allows the group to participate in community fundraising events that it hasn't been a part of that in the past. For a while, they used the school's kind of umbrella, as being with them, not really nonprofit, I guess somewhat nonprofit, but they used the school, and then a few years ago that was discontinued. So they really didn't go out and do the things that we're looking at doing now. We've got a great group of parents and community members that are involved in wanting to do bigger and better things for fundraising, which has already happened recently. So this is a great addition that they now have this standing, the status of nonprofit. So let's see. They're also looking at some legal advice. They want to make sure that everything is being done correctly. So they doing good things, going in the right direction, and making sure that there's nothing that needs to be happening that isn't at this time. Any questions about that? They do great things for our athletes and our students, and so we're happy to hear that. The Bay Area ISD, we had a tech assistant report for our special ed program. Last week, a group of Pinconning staff met with Miss Jamie Norman, who is the special ed monitor from the ISD, and we started off talking about some strengths. And timely IEPs was the first strength. We can get our hands slapped pretty quickly if we go over that year time limit with our IEPs, and that was a strength of ours. Eligibility rates of 93% of those evaluated, which means if a teacher or a parent or a staff member thinks that a student may need to get tested, 93% of those that are tested qualify. So what she said was your MTSS, your multi-tier system of support, is doing a good job at identifying students that really need it. Because a lot of times there'll be schools that have a bunch of evaluations and nothing comes of it. So she said that's a great thing, that we're doing good things with our process. Special ed suspensions and expulsions are down from 31% to 18%. That is, I think, attributed a little bit to the restorative practices that we now are able to do. The state allowed some leniency with that, wanting to make sure that we're trying to help the situation and not just punish and get rid of students or send them home. So that's nice. And then also students with an IEP, there's a lot of numbers to this one. Students with an IEP that are in general ed classes 80% of the time. So if I have an IEP, I'm in the gen ed classes 80% of the time of the day. That's up from 53 to 95%. So 95% of our students that have IEPs are in the gen ed classes, 80%. And that's from 10 years ago, it's up that much. So that's great. It was good to hear those things. She then talked about our challenges, which is why we do the report. Our grad rate for the 2021 cohort was 50%. So that means the students that started their freshman year with an IEP, 50% of those students graduated on time. There's also a 5-year and a 6-year cohort, which gets bigger. We have a better percentage, but we really want to work on that 4-year cohort to get it up, because that's what the state evaluates us with. I think the next two challenges also affect that first one about the graduation rate. Personal curriculums. We had 4 personal curriculums last year listed, and we have 1 this year. I was at a conference earlier this year, Dr. Braun was there also, where the state talked about personal curriculums and said you need to use them as much as you can to help students. It's students with IEPs need personal curriculums. Maybe they don't want this class, but they want something else. We can make that curriculum, the Michigan Merit Curriculum, help those students earn that diploma. So those numbers need to go up, and I think if they do, we may have some students graduate that otherwise would not. And another one is, we only had 1 functional behavior assessment or behavior intervention plan listed for last year. And what that means, if we have students that are having behavioral troubles, we know maybe they have social work involved. A lot of times we have plans in place that help those students so they're not getting suspended. And we only had 1 of those plans listed. Now, maybe we have them and it's not in the computer or something. That's why we're doing this, to make sure that they get listed and we have it the right way. But those 2 things could help those cohorts, the graduation rates, go up. Although I'm a little worried these next couple of years with the whole COVID years, these are the students that were affected, and a lot of that online stuff didn't go very well for them. So that's a challenge. 65% of our students with IEPs receive speech and language services. We are the highest in the ISD by a long shot for that. 12% of Pinconning students with IEPs receive services from the ISD. That is also supposed to be around 3 to 5%. So that means our other programs, maybe our CI program or EI program, or some other type things like that, we have a large number of those students too. So those are the things we're going to be looking at and trying to improve on. Ms. Norman reviewed 5% of our IEPs. She went through them, reviewed them. Those findings will help improve our process, the creation of them. The staff will be, I think they went through it today, and they will be looking at some of those findings and how to get better. And then the group also discussed our improvement plan that will target and focus on 2 things. By the end of each school year, over the next 3 years, Pinconning will create a professional learning development plan for each year that integrates at least 2 special education topics determined through the review of the previous year's data. And then also by the year 26-27, by that school year, Pinconning will select and implement a progress monitoring system which processes for documentation, systems of data review, and fidelity checks, resulting in increased educational benefits, resulting in 60% in file reviews. So those are the plans. It was a great meeting. I walked into it thinking this is going to be a quick little review, and I think we were there for over 2 hours going through this stuff. So it was a great meeting. Any questions on that process or?
Personal curriculum, is that only for special ed?
Nope.
students?
No, it's not. It's for gen ed also. It's more limited though. There's not as much as you can change for gen ed students, but there are things you can change.
So when you say other districts are using it more, they're using it more for gen ed?
I'm probably not. I think they're using it more for special education students. And it's so weird because each year it seems to get a little more lenient. When we started hearing about this personal curriculum 10, 12 years ago, it was so strict and you couldn't change anything except this or that. There were like 2 or 3 changes, and then each year it seems to get a little bit more lenient, and now they're to the point where they're saying, let's help kids graduate. Let's do what we need to do. You know, if they can't do Algebra 2, let's do something else, where in the past that
What
wasn't.
initiates that personal curriculum?
What's that?
What initiates the
Can be a parent, can be a teacher, can be a counselor.
Counselor can
Yep.
do it. But I don't know if parents know about that.
We talk about it at the orientation at the beginning of the year. It's not extensive. You know, it might be a kind of a passing thing that we mentioned that is available. And it's in our handbook, I'm pretty sure. I think it's in our
Yeah,
handbook.
there's, but you're right, there's definitely more information that can be talked
Yeah.
about, and now that there's more, flexibility with it,
Yeah.
there will be more information.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else?
Oh, okay.
All good? All right, one quick thing about the teacher shortage. It seems like each meeting I'm bringing something to you with this. There was an article that was sent to me. It was from the National Center of Educational Statistics, and they did a lot of data and surveys. It was a country-wide thing. It wasn't just Michigan. But they asked the question, does your school currently have an open, unfilled teaching position? 62% schools said yes. Does your school currently have an open, unfilled support staff position? 83% said yes. So this, just to say, this is not a Michigan thing. It's a countrywide thing, which hurts us just as much, you know, because nobody's coming here because all the states have the same thing. A couple more things they talked about. They asked teachers, do you plan to leave the teaching position in the next 3 years? 30% said yes, 33% maybe. So 2/3 of the teachers could be leaving in the next 3 years. You know, and that's again nationwide. That's not Pinconning, but just in general, that's a large number. What would keep you from leaving? They had a list of things for staff. Better pay, more support from parents in the community, more support from leadership were the top 3. And there were a lot. They probably listed 7 other things, but those were the top 3. So we plan to look at things, and we're continuing to look at things. There's Grow Your Own programs that help future teachers earn certificates. We have a few people in our community who are not teachers, but are looking at it, and there are ways that we can help them get going with that. And there's some good things coming this fall, some new things. Local job fairs, maybe not so local. They might be more, you know, away from us, like CMU or Grand Rapids or something like that. We may have to start getting out there. We already did the Saginaw Valley one. Early indications of retirement. We had we were talking about this, I think, at our one of our committee meetings, where that might be something we look at too. Of, is there a way that teachers can let us know early? Is there an incentive for them so that we're not waiting until June to find out, and now we're competing with everybody around? Maybe we can start looking, you know, in January at when those students are looking for jobs mid-year that graduated in December. So that's another thing. And then competitive contracts through negotiations. That's a big one that we have to look at. Yes.
Any forecast? Any idea?
From the other colleges?
No.
Oh, nothing yet. I mean, I think I know of one that has told me already, I mean, from day one, that this was the last year. But I haven't heard anything yet. Nothing official for sure.
On that end, you can look. I know our district just started to do it, and other districts do it, as far as there's a financial incentive if they notify you by February
Right.
1st, March 1st,
Yep.
something like that. So, it's
Yeah.
something we discuss.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Any other questions about the teachers? And it's not just teacher, it's staff. It's, custodians, secretaries, everybody. And then I want to get to some of the parent questions we had from our last meeting. There were quite a few, and I have some discussion things here, more talking about some of the things that came up. One of them was a school resource officer in the building more, and I think everyone agrees we would love to have that person in our building more. I am talking with Chief Spencer, and we're currently working on this to make that happen, to have them here in the building more than they are now. It seemed from some of the comments that, maybe not everyone, but I thought when we talked about the statement that was released to the media, when it actually said gun and not weapon, it almost seemed to be that they thought we released that message to the media, and we did not. That was the state police that released that message the next day. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I wasn't sure if that's how that was taken or not. Results from the student mental health check that we did. There were 27 students that indicated they would like to talk to someone, which is about 3% of our student body. Our school has 8 adults that are available for students to talk to that are not in the classroom. So I still think that the students needed to be here, and they needed to be around those adults where they could talk to them. The 27 students that wanted to have that opportunity. Now, did they all jump on it right away? No. But that is something that, like we said before, this learning process is, there's a lot of learning that has come from this situation that we will look at and probably treat differently if it ever happened again, where we're going to be looking for those students immediately the next morning. But it was announced, but we need to do more than just doing that. Mr. Rosenkrantz is the gentleman that talked about helping us out, and that's a service that interests me very much. I talked to administration about that, and we're going to see how or where we can fit that in, and look to see if that can happen, because there's a lot of things that kind of hoops you have to jump through for people to be in the building talking to students. So we're going to make sure that that is okay, and then see where we can have him come in and talk to some of our students. Probably the biggest concern was the word, or the use of the word weapon versus gun in that first message. So that's something that, I'm kind of mixing up my notes here, but obviously that's something that we will look at differently in the event this ever comes up in some sort of way, which we hope it never does again. But I continue to see the word weapon come up when I'm seeing things like this happening. Last Tuesday, there was a school in Novell, or in Saginaw Novell, where some other schools that were in the area, they posted some things and they all said weapon, even though the thing that went out was that there was a shooting and that there was a gun. Their message said weapon. I'm not saying it makes it right that what we did, but I'm just saying that is kind of a common practice. The same with Michigan State University has an app when there's kind of an instance going on their campus that they want a threat type thing, and when there's a gun on campus, they use the word weapon. So I'm understanding a little bit why that word was used, why that's what we talked about, but it still will make me question it. Like I said, if this ever happens again, knowing what our community wants, I would probably question that and say, is this possible? Can we use the other word if we needed to, and we'll see how that comes out. I've talked to Mr. Woodruff about lockdown drills at the high school, middle school. Elementary has been doing them for the past, I think each elementary has done one in the last week. But the high school, middle school, what we're going to do is we're going to be discussing, not we, the staff will discuss with their students about the lockdown, the procedure, and then we will have one that day. That's not a normal procedure. The state really doesn't want you talking about it and preempting the students. They just want to do it. With our situation, this next one, we want to talk to them first, make sure everybody's comfortable. Okay, now we're going to have it. And then we'll do another one later on in the year without that preemptive discussion, kind of the surprise one that is what you're doing. And we'll be over. We'll do more than the state actually asks us to do. but that's okay. We can do as many as we want, as many as our students need to feel comfortable with. So that's why Mr. Woodruff talked about that, about, let's talk to the students on that first one, or Mr. Bycraft, one of the two, had talked about doing that. So I like that idea. We did meet with all the secondary grade level students and had the discussions that we hope is impactful and helpful to our students. We had great conversations. Mr. Kuchar was there, a school, or not a resource officer, but one of the Pinconning police officers was there too. And so great conversations, great talks throughout the day. And we talked about the postings that are in every classroom, even not in classrooms, throughout the building, with the okay to say message. So that's all over our building. And it was before, but not as much. It wasn't in every classroom. It might have been in the hallway here and there. So that's all over now. And I even had some teachers that commented that the students came back after the meetings and they're like, oh, it is here. Where they didn't notice it before the meetings, but once we had those meetings, now they notice them and see them. So that was a great combination to help them with that. We also had a question. This is kind of off the topic of the weapon. We also had a question about students not being allowed to bring purses into the classrooms. And in light of our recent experience, I can't argue that students not being allowed to bring bags into the classroom isn't a good idea. I think that still was a good idea, but what can we do for students that need to have some personal items in that classroom besides going to the office, going to their locker? There are some things you can do. But I talked with administration today, and students can still, they have sometimes pencil boxes, the little bag with their markers in them and things that kind of size, where I don't think that a teacher would be upset with a student having something that size with them in their classroom, because we know they already have them for those things. I don't think students have the Trapper Keepers like we used to have in the 80s, when they had the little pouches in them, same kind of thing. So I think hopefully that is a good way of fixing that problem and helping that problem be resolved. That's it. Any questions about, that was a lot, sorry. Without.
We hear, I think it was good. I'm glad you addressed, the parental questions that we had from last time and all the stuff that's kind of gone on the last few weeks. So, a lot of good information. Any questions?
Thank you.
Ms. Johnson, the floor is yours.
All right. So for student council, the members of student council are busy preparing for Coming Home 2023. Coming Home will be the week of February 20th through the 24th. This year's dance will take place in the middle school gymnasium from 7 to 10 p.m. on Saturday, February 25th, 2023. The members of student council will be sponsoring their late winter blood drive on Tuesday, March 7th from 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the high school library. Appointment reservations have already begun. The blood drive will be open to all members of the community. Band, solo, and ensemble. The following students participated in the Solo and Ensemble Festival, hosted by Tawas Area High School. Trinity Briggs, Morgan Dennison, Sunny Lamb, Taylor Morand, Kylie Overly, Julian Rodriguez, Austin Schultz, Eva Shadulski, Jacob Tacey, Ellie Weddle, and Sarah Yaros. The following solo and ensembles were awarded superior rating and will be moving on to the state solo and ensemble competition next month, March 18th. Trinity Briggs and Ava Shadulski, alto saxophone duet. Taylor Moran and Jacob Tacey, snare drum duet. Trinity Briggs and Julian Rodriguez, Austin Schultz, and Ava Shadulski, saxophone quartet. And then also Austin Schultz, baritone saxophone solo. The students who earned a 1 rating at band, solo, and ensemble will move on to state competition on March 18th at Midland High School. For Band Festival, Pinconning Middle School Bands and High School Band will be attending the Michigan School Band and Orchestra Association, or MSBOA, District 9 Band Festival in Alcona on Tuesday, March 7th. The middle school will play at 1:20 p.m. and the high school band will play at 3:20 p.m. Bowling. The bowling team competed at conference individuals on Saturday in Gladwin. Top performers for the boys included Logan Milliman, 3rd overall, and Ethan Miller, 11th overall. The team will compete in the county tournament at Monitor Lanes in Bay City tomorrow, beginning at 2 p.m. Band Booster Trivia Night. The Band Boosters will be sponsoring Trivia Night on Saturday, March 4th, beginning at 7 p.m. in the middle school gymnasium. Cost is $20 per player with teams of up to 6 players. Money raised will go to support the band program here at the school. Career Center visitation. On February 9th, sophomores had the opportunity to visit Bay Area Career Center. They visited 3 programs of their choice, learning about the opportunities available in each program. Sophomores will have their first opportunity to attend the Career Center next year and have the opportunity to sign up for one of the programs during scheduling in the first week of March. Wrestling. Last week, the wrestling team competed in the Jack Pine Conference Tournament. Pinconning had 2 individual conference champions, Tyler Brooks at 190 pounds and Darius Cooper at 150 pounds. Alan Whiting, I'm not sure, I am sorry about that. He did take 3rd place at 285 pounds. Last week, the Pinconning team lost to Beaverton, the eventual champions, in district competition in a tightly contested bout. This weekend, at individual districts, Tyler Brooks placed 2nd at the 190-pound weight class, and Darius Cooper placed 4th at 150 pounds. Both have earned trips to this weekend's regional tournament in Grayling. The top 4 finishers from the regional tournament moved on to the state championships held at Ford Field on March 3rd through the 4th. Prom 2023. The junior-senior prom will be held at the Grant in Essexville on Saturday, April 29th from 6 to 11 p.m.
Great, thank you. Lot going on.
Yeah.
Reports from administrative staff.
Right. We got all of our data collected from exams and from our second round of fast bridge testing, and comparing that from the beginning of the year and from last year, K through 12 all went up in our percentages and our scores, so that was really nice to see across the board. We talk about learning loss quite often, but it's nice to see when our percentages go up. So we're doing good things here. We just had our middle round of elementary curriculum meeting that just ended. Really good conversations. Their scores as well went up from their classes. So our curriculum is doing the right thing, which is awesome. Just had our special education department meeting this morning as well, talking about some of our technical assistant stuff with the ISD. Really good positive conversations. They are working their tails off and making sure our kiddos get the services that they need. So really good things moving forward. And then towards the middle to end of this week and into next week starts our secondary level round of curriculum meetings as well. So looking forward to that. Another thing for parents, we have a district-wide parent survey coming out very soon that will come out in a paper format with QR codes on there. And that will also be posted on the website and the Facebook page. And then that way parents can take that survey. That's for our MyKIP, our continuous improvement process, just to see kind of what's going on. We had our staff take it, and our kids will take it as well.
Other administrators?
Just on the athletic side of things, I have a basketball camp kind of in the works. I'm trying to work out some kinks that would be offered for K through 12. The kinks is kind of the pricing and the dates. So when I know more, I will have more information to report. And then aside from that, I have secured a date for, I believe it's July 15th, for a athletic golf scramble, with the intentions of some of the money going for coaches advancement. So we would allot some of the money to make sure that coaches here can continue to grow so that we can hopefully keep coaches here for years to come. So that's for the athletic side of things.
Thank you. Any other administrators? Committee reports. Tech committee?
The tech committee met on February 6th, and we discussed current projects, which the fiber wire, if I'm wrong, they can correct me. Updating our wiring to handle up to 10 gig. Currently, it is not capable. Wiring is old, bad. It needs to be changed, and the project, 80% of it, I believe, is covered by government funding.
Yep.
So savings here first. Then the switches, Some of them are updated and changed, others it's just waiting on the supply chain, like everything else still back up from COVID. The new server is in, and if I let Jay talk about the new server, you can see how excited he is, so I can go with that it is the Cadillac of servers. With everything that's happened in the last few weeks, we had somebody go through building the cameras. We have some blind spots, and we're looking at adding more cameras, doing some updates with that. James, still looking at cameras and cost for that.
Yeah.
And
In grants, we're gonna look at grants, we're gonna try and source some of the security grants and stuff. So, we haven't had the walkthrough yet, but
okay.
there's potential areas when we were talking with law enforcement, so when we're ready and we know we can get the funds and stuff, we'll probably have a company come and walk through and see what their evaluation is as well, and then we'll fill in from there, so.
And in the with the Chromebooks, for the Dell Chromebooks that we've had an issue with the touchpads. Their parents here, they know. There is a fix to it. We're gonna do them in-house. It's time consuming, but it's something that we can do here as opposed to taking them from the kids, shipping them out, trying to get them shipped back, and actually having enough that kids could use. So that's something we're going to take care of here. Moving forward, we're looking at some other things with the Chromebooks. Getting Chromebooks on a refresh cycle. We're not gonna buy over 400 of them at a time. Trying to figure out get
Right.
a process of buying a few each year. Rest of it, Jace, maybe losing his worker.
Yeah, so
And so we maybe in the future looking at having to get somebody in to help Jay with taking care of the computers.
Any questions? Curriculum committee.
Yeah, we met also on the 6th, and Dr. Brown already discussed the test scores going up, so that was part of our discussion. We're looking at we're gonna be needing 2 to 3 special ed teachers, and as far as learning, we're doing well on special ed. And then we're also working on how to keep and recruit the teachers. She mentioned ESSR funds can be used for teachers, but that's kind of temporary.
Yeah, it's going away at some point.
So for now, you can use it. And then learning loss, they applied for a grant to hire parapros to just that. And we expect a full district and personal development day in May, or professional.
2 to 3 for the start of next year. But we're already down 2, correct?
All right. Any questions for the curriculum committee? Public comments. Anyone like to address the board? Yeah.
Tanya.
Did they have your name?
Yeah, she has it.
Okay.
Tanya Preston, you have all my info. Andy, I have a question for you because you had said with the curse rule, that they can carry a small bag. This is the size that my child was carrying, and she was told she couldn't because they had a purse strap on it. It was considered a purse. So is this legal for her to carry, or is this not? Is my question that I know you can't answer it right now. And with everything that went on Tuesday for the active shooters in Saginaw, would it have been too much for this district to send out a phone call just stating, hey, it's not our school that's involved, because us parents that did hear it were all communicating among each other, and we were not impressed that we could not get through because conveniently phone lines were down for this district, and so was the internet for the students when I
got to my child, she told me that that was down also. So I don't know if there was logic behind it or not, but if it was because you guys didn't want the students communicating with other students in other districts, I hate to say it, 90% of the school has cell phones and they still can communicate. I see dress code did not get brought up, which, whatever, I understand handbook can't be changed in the middle of the year. But I do feel with the purse and the dress code that if it is in the handbook, then I feel that you guys should have enforced it from day one and not waited till halfway through the year to start saying, sorry, you can't carry your purses or, dress code, whatnot. Because of the fact, it's not fair that you guys can say you can't change the handbook through the middle of the year, but you can change the rules in the school of what the kids have gotten away with for the whole beginning of the school year. So I really think that needs to be thought about. That's all I have for right now.
Anybody else like to address this one? Yes, Ms. Bauer. 4 minutes.
Lana Bauer, as you stated. I just wanted to kind of come here and thank you guys. So, Mr. Palchuk, thank you for following up with some of the questions that we have from the last meeting, and I'm sure through parent email and correspondence as well. I do appreciate that you took the time to follow up on some of those questions. Obviously, I know you can't answer all of them, but I do appreciate some of your responses. I also appreciate how hard you are working to keep us up to date on what's going on week to week in the school. I feel that that's really important. There's a lot of things going on that we need to be looking at the positives. What are our kids doing? What are they achieving? What's great about the district? Because I know it's easy for everybody to come here and I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I'll email and I'll voice a complaint. But I want you to know that we do appreciate when those good things are happening and you're showing them off. So thank you for that. Same thing with the board. You guys, I know this is a thankless job. I know you guys put up with a lot of complaints and questions and concerns, but I know that a lot of people don't know what you guys do behind the scenes. So I know there is a lot of that again is thankless work, and so we thank you for that. I think that ultimately, again, this is a great district. We're all human. We do make mistakes. We can all work to improve on things, but we all do bring value to the table. And I think if we keep continuing to work together, parents and administrators and board collectively, I think we can achieve a lot of good things in the district. Just use your resources. You have a lot of parents that want to help. They just don't know how.
Put that on record as the shortest one.
What?
Is that the shortest speech you've had?
I can keep going.
No.
I have to give you a 1 minute warning. But thank you. Off that, it's like, we appreciate you bringing your concerns. That's the open dialogue as much as it's not a Q&A. We have the emails back and forth. We try to communicate. And I appreciate that you acknowledge the work that's done and the good that we do, and we work better together. So I appreciate you standing up for that. So, you'll come and complain, but you'll come and say thank you to you. So I appreciate both.
Got to balance.
Anybody else? All right. Discussion items? I just have one. I mentioned it before. Strategic plan for this district. I'm not aware of one we've done in my time, so I'll check with Beta for history. Are you familiar? Did you guys do one like? No. Okay, so back when we 2000 close and all that stuff, 6 or 7. So I'm thinking it's kind of a weekend retreat. So we did it. Okay, so I kind of want to do that again. I sent an email out earlier today to you guys to think about it. Is it something you want to pursue? Then I guess what I'd like to do is
You're gonna have MS.
well, let's look at. I know it's very involved. I don't know the costs associated, but I know it's very involved. This is something that's going to take us 9 months to a year, hopefully only that amount of time. Did you guys do it as a whole board last time, or did you guys do it as an ad hoc committee?
Okay, the board.
Okay. So, and that I think that's better, but we'll have to schedule the meetings and things of that nature. So, if everybody's on board with that, then we'll pursue that and see, how we wanna go about that. So, all right, good. Cool, we'll pursue that, and I'll get with Mr. Kowalczyk.
I think Darren had that.
I think it was Darren.
He really took charge of that.
All right. So we'll get together, and I'm sure Catherine will do a lot of legwork too. So thank you ahead of time. Any other discussion items?
Move to adjourn.
Motion support, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned. Thank you. Again, thank you for coming.
I don't know.